Hello. So if you haven't been following, there's been a lot of developments. There's been a lot of talk about. Okay, one second. Sorry, because I have some problems going on. Okay, one second. Okay, sorry. Um, I was trying to go live to YouTube and X, and the X stream is having problems, so I just canceled that stream. But the situation is, well, this really came to a head when Barack Obama made some statements, and I think people are mischaracterizing a lot about that Obama situation because the first thing to realize is okay, let me start from this. I'm not going to sit here and shill for anybody. I'm not going to shill for Barack. I'm not going to shill for Kamala. I'm not going to shill for the Democrats. I damn sure ain't going to shill for Trump or Republicans. I'm not going to shill for libertarians. If you watch this channel, you know I'm a libertarian. I'm not going to shill for anyone. Cool. So when we get to Barack, now Barack Obama and them have made statements that I think are ridiculous on so many occasions. But in this case, he's around a group of black men and he's talking about how black men have to support, and it's characterized as he's telling black men that they need to support Kamala Harris because she's a black woman and blah, blah, blah. But that's not what's actually happening. What's happening is Barack Obama was around a bunch of supporters, black male supporters. He's telling them what to tell black men that they know that aren't supporting Kamala, how to get that messaging across. That's what a lot of people were missing. He wasn't even directly talking to black men that aren't supporting Kamala Harris. He was telling black supporters how to speak to black men in their neighborhoods and their lives that they know that are talking stuff about Kamala Harris. Oh, we can't trust her, blah, blah, blah. That's what he was doing. He was giving them messaging directions. But some people still don't like the messages he was saying. And they're like, oh, black men aren't against Kamala because she's a woman. It's because there's no policies for us. Now, stop the bull. That's a lie. And let me tell you how that's a lie. It's a lie that all that all of these that there's no black men that are against Kamala because she's a woman. Somebody like you have a Charleston White who has explicitly stated that he's not voting for a black woman. That he would not support a black woman explicitly. And if you look on the internet, there's a bunch of other people that have been saying similar things, if not the exact same thing, that they will not support a woman for president. So to say that, oh, that's not why that his statements apply to certain individuals and certain individuals who may have, and it applies to certain individuals who may have larger footprints on the internet and who may be influencing others who listen to them, who follow them, who watch their programs. But this morning, Kamala Harris did something because people were like, okay, there needs to be a black male specific agenda, blah, blah, blah. And I say blah, blah, blah because that's that's how it's being presented. The people that are saying, a lot of the people that are saying there needs to be a black male specific agenda are not giving specifics. They're saying there needs to be a black male specific agenda, but they're failing to give specifics. The simple fact is, hey Kenny, what's up? Yeah, I've been real busy, working on some stuff, but I'm trying to get streaming more. Uh, thanks for tuning in. But there's been there are dudes that are saying there needs to be a black male specific agenda, but they're not providing specifics. So here's where the problem is with that. If you're not providing specifics, then when they provide their black male specific agenda, It may not be exactly what you want to see. But if you wanted it to be exactly what you wanted to see, then you should have not said, "Oh, we want a black man." You should have said, "This is what we want." Because if what you don't realize is a bunch of these lobbies, when they want something done, they don't say, "Hey, we want you to look out for us." They write the legislation. A bunch of these lobbies, what happens is they will write the legislation and they will hand the legislation to politicians and say, "This is what you're going to be putting forward." That's how it works. Not, "Oh, we want you to do something for us," without actually saying what it is they want. They write the legislation and said, "Okay, this is what you're going to do for us." And if we want things done a certain specific way, that's the way we have to move. And so, Kenny, I like that you bring up Ice Cube because Ice Cube actually came with something specific. He actually had something written. And I appreciate, even if I don't agree with everything, and I think there could be improvements, I applaud that he actually drafted something and put it forward. A lot of these dudes that are talking this morning have not done that. So Kamala Harris puts out her black male specific agenda, what her agenda for black men, and the question is, how are these naysayers, how are some of her critics going to respond? And you're seeing some of the takes that have been out there are kind of ridiculous. You have some people say, "Oh, well, it's not just for black males. It says black males, like the lone part. It says for black men and others." Then you have some that are like, "Oh, well, it's too late." Wait, what? You spent you spent the week you spent weeks and the weekends complaining that there isn't a black male agenda. Now that it comes out, it's too late. Now, number one, the election hasn't happened yet. Like, so it's technically not too late. But like and I believe it was Terrain Walker that put out this, and he says, it's like, um, and he uses some analogy with a girlfriend, and he says, and she's doing just the bare minimum, trying to get your attention, and you're like, nah, no, it's too late. And I'm like, there's another analogy I'm thinking of. And it's the analogy of when your girlfriend wants you to take out the trash, and you're like, and she keeps bothering, "Hey, have you taken out the trash yet? Have you taken out the trash?" And then finally you go, "Okay, I'm gonna go take out the trash." And she's, "Hey, what are you doing?" You say, you've been complaining about the trash all this time. I'm gonna go take out the trash. She's like, "No, I don't want you to take out the trash. I want you to want to take out the trash." That's what this is starting to sound like right now. And that's the ridiculous part, especially if we're speaking about politics. If we're talking about politics, if your philosophy is, "I want the Democrats to want to do something for us," it's like, okay, y'all have lost the plot for real. So okay, so let me just come. Harris. Okay, yeah, let me put this up. Can I? Yeah, okay. Harris is the best of two evils. Trump lets his black puppets make him seem better than he actually is. And let me tell you something about Trump's black puppets. Trump's black puppets will say some of the most anti-black nonsense, and dudes is quiet about it. It's crickets. It's crickets. So I mean, because a lot of this started with the reparations conversation. Byron Donalds, Wesley, I think Wesley Hunt, and Sage Steele. They're on stage puffing cigarettes, trying to look like gangsters out of Goodfellas, and they start talking mess about reparations, like, "Oh, that's just handouts." And okay, so I was waiting for all of the reparations advocates to come out and absolutely eviscerate these dudes, but it was crickets. Nothing. They had nothing to say. But when the Democrats aren't moving fast enough, then they have something to say. And I'm like, okay, listen. If you have one party that's advocating, that's moving in a direction that you want, albeit slower than you want, and then you have the other party moving in the direct opposite direction, like, this isn't really hard to see. Okay, wait a minute. Who can we work with better? And so, in fact, what I put out to somebody, it was the Black Channel. It's like this. Oh, you will always, if you want there to be a fire, I just have to go live, and a fire will start somewhere, and the fire trucks will be there. It's guaranteed. Let me just let this fire truck pass. There will probably be a couple of more, but the crazy thing is you have when you have so yeah, the Black Channel, he said something about how Democrats not being specific and pushing for certain issues is pushing us to Trump, and he named in this case he named certain issues. He named the anti-black crime bill, anti-black hate crime bill, reparations, and the Freedmen's Bureau. And I'm like, okay, and oh yeah, and he also named prosecuting Carolyn Bryant and other white supremacists. I said, yo, dude, if you're saying that the Democrats failing to do those things is what pushes us to Trump, I'm like, Trump's done none of those things either. I'm like, that's horrible negotiating. Like your negotiating skills are beyond garbage if if that's how you're moving. The simple fact is, if we're going to be politically, if we're going to see our political issues addressed, we're going to have to move much more politically adept, much more politically minded, much more politically organized, much more politically knowledgeable. Because this and because there's talk about who is it that said it? I believe it was Jamal Green. I think he's from Chicago. Because I remember when he came out with the that sister that whose son shot the dude that was beating her up in the restaurant. And so he was talking about that. He says how black men are logical, not emotional. And I'm like, I guarantee you that's true of some black men. That's not what I'm seeing from this certain cadre that's, oh, we want this, we want this. I'm seeing some real reactionary nonsense that's not based on logic at all. Some of it seems to be based on emotion, because some of it seems to be based, okay, I want, like it's like that analogy with the garbage. I want you to want to take out the garbage. Like, it's like, we don't want the Democrats to give us reparations. We want the Democrats to want to give us reparations. And I'm like, from a political standpoint, that's foolish. That's foolish. From a political standpoint, we just need to move the needle. We need to start making sure that whoever we're dealing with realizes it's in their interest to serve our issues. And if they don't serve our issues, then we will make them pay a political price for it. And that's why, like right now, the way dudes are moving is beyond ridiculous, because the people that are closest, that are paying the most attention to our issues, are the ones they're attacking. That's backwards. That's beyond backwards. Okay, so both parties are failing our communities, but with the GOP, they want to erase all of American history that made a lot of these issues happen in the first place. Exactly, because like JD Vance, so they were talking about the grants, the money to black farmers, and JD Vance is on talking about, oh, why should it only be for blacks? That's racist, and he's ignoring the historical realities that existed for that lawsuit to even come to take place, where black farmers were being denied access to government money. He just completely ignores that. And same thing with like Vivek. Vivek made his entire campaign on anti-blackness. That was Vivek's entire campaign, and they loved him for it. but they didn't love him enough to actually to vote for him as the presidential nominee. Um, I hate the fan service from the DNC. They promised the world right before election and then tumbleweeds. Right. But that's where some political organization comes into play. We need to be like it. In other words, we can't just say because there's the complaints that Democrats only show up at election time. Well, it doesn't matter when they show up. The question is, when do we show up? So whoever we're dealing with, we need to be on their neck. We need before the election, we need to be telling them this is what you're going to support. Get them to make promises to us, and then after the election, we need to be showing up to their offices and applying political pressure to make sure that they're following through. But that takes work. A lot of these dudes that are online don't want to work. They want to talk. They want to run their mouths. They're not serious. They don't want to do the research. They don't want to get in the trenches. They don't want to get their hands dirty. And they don't even want to learn what it takes to actually get things done. Yeah, because it's easy to complain. And so there's a lot of these dudes, Tommy Sotomayor started talking he's absolutely an absolute idiot. Tommy Sotomayor is an absolute idiot who can't be taken serious. And he's running his mouth, and so there's somebody else like so Pastor Scott. I appreciate Pastor Scott's personal beliefs, and some of his personal beliefs, and some of his personal attitude, but his friendship with Donald Trump is interfering with his advocacy for us and our issues. And so he's gonna his and you got to see the person that Donald Trump is about. He doesn't want truth. Like, you can't be his friend if you're gonna tell him the truth. In order to be his friend, you have to lie to him, blow smoke up his ass. That's what you need to be his friend. And that's not actual friendship. He just wants sycophants. That's what Trump is, and that's why Trump can't be trusted. That's just one of the reasons why Trump can't be trusted. But it goes back to Sonny Johnson, Pastor Scott bringing Sonny Johnson to the White House. Sonny Johnson just like being so real, so raw, so passionate, talking about what the Black community needs, talking about entrepreneurship, building up our communities, giving us opportunities, building up our communities and giving us opportunities. And then Donald Trump, all he could do is, well, you back the blue, right? Like, that's all he got. Like, she didn't, like, that's all he got left that conversation with. A ridiculous talking point of back the blue. That's it. And so it just shows you he cannot be trusted. He cannot be relied on. He does not actually care or give a damn about us. And then if you look at the policies he's promoting regarding law enforcement, absolute immunity for police. Like, I saw, like, Pastor Scott actually responded to that on talking about how he's like, oh, what, do you think we all are criminals? No, absolute immunity is for when they're criminals. Absolute immunity isn't about Black men being criminals. It's about the cops being criminals and having no accountability. That's the problem. It's the problem is if you're here advocating for cops to have complete blanket immunity, that means they can do whatever they want to innocent Black men and get away with it. And so, like, his like, it really should be non-negotiable. Like, there's no argument to be made, and that's just one of the reasons why there's no argument to be made in favor of Trump. But you've got some guys out here like chat dancing, trying to skirt the issue, because they want to be undercover shills for the Republicans. So farmers are to show in court the discrimination and won. Yes, farmers, they went to court, showed the discrimination, won, and Vance gets on CNN or whatever show he was on and was talking about, oh, this shouldn't only be for Black farmers. Like, that the problem was they were explicitly excluded from getting these grants. Tommy's an old school fool, absolutely. Okay, Pastor Scott lost credibility when he started talking about DEI being bad. Like, bro, do you actually know what DEI is? Yeah, listen, that's what I said. We have to be willing to call out shills, no matter who they're shilling for. So when Angela Rye is shilling for the Democrats, call her out on it. Absolutely. When um, when these undercover shills are shilling for the Republicans or shilling for Trump, call them out on it. Absolutely. When when you're upfront shills, you're I'm trying to think of who's an upfront shill for the Republicans. I mean, yeah, you got Candace Owens. Yeah, so when she's shilling for Republicans, call her out. I rather enjoy calling Candace Owens out. But so here's the thing about Nina Turner. I think Nina Turner's heart is in the right place, but I'm going to read the room, and Nina Turner has personal beef with the Democratic establishment. That's clear because every time Nina Turner runs, the establishment comes after her hard. They don't like her, and she's too progressive for them, and so the establishment comes after her hard. And for that reason, Nina Turner will, if she sees an opportunity to go at and get at the Democratic establishment, she'll take it. So like that's why that's why it's so important to be paying attention to the factors, so that when we see somebody, we can look at what they're saying and judge it by, okay, are they speaking purely from the facts, or do they have their own bias in history that's coming through in the arguments? Because you've got, like I said, Nina Turner, these uh, you've got your shills. Like, so here's the thing: Roland Martin, Roland Martin does his fair bit of shilling, but when he's right, you got to give him credit. So I saw a bit of an interview with him talking to some people some black men, and he's like, okay, what do black men need specifically? And they couldn't articulate, like in the clip I saw, they couldn't articulate something that just applied to black men, and that wouldn't be in a greater black agenda. And that's the thing. If you're gonna make the ask, you better know the answer. Thanks for checking this out. I'm about to get out of here. Thanks, Kenny, for showing up. Yeah, it's been a while. Like I said, I've been working, and I am working on some other things that should be being manifest in the very near future. But once again, thanks for showing up. And listen, I'm not done with this topic. We're gonna have to chop this up some more. Thank you. All right, see ya. Enjoy the rest of your. For those of you who have the day off, enjoy the rest of this day.